see you there. Do you mind if I take a seat? Oh yeah, thanks. Oh yeah, I've been good. You know, I woke up this morning and I just wasn't feeling motivated, and it got me wondering, you know, like why are humans motivated? What makes us do the things that we do? So, you know, I did a little bit of research, you know me. And here's what I came up with. Everything's got to start somewhere, and motivation starts in your brain. But before we go on to talk about all the brain stuff, let's do something a little more simple. Intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. These are the two types of motivation that you can experience. They're also known as internal and external motivation. Internal motivation is when your motivation to accomplish your goals comes from within you, instead of trying to avoid a punishment or meet a deadline. An example of internal motivation could be this. Wow, I feel so motivated to go to work today. I love what I do, and I have the best time there. Where external motivation is gonna look more like, man, I really hate my job, but I want to go to work so that I can put food on the table and pay my bills. Now that you know about the two different types of motivation, it's time to talk about how the brain works and how we become motivated in the first place. As much as we like to talk about motivation as a resource, it's actually a stimuli. And this stimuli happens because of the amygdala. It's a part of your brain in a system called the limbic system, and it is responsible for creating motivation. In order to shed a little bit more light on the amygdala and the limbic system, let's just briefly talk about it. The amygdala is the control center for your emotions and your emotional behavior, as well as your motivation. It is housed in the limbic system along with 9 other components that are mainly responsible for emotions, emotional behavior, memory, sense of smell, hormones, all that good stuff. Because most of the limbic system is connected to memory and memory storage, when there is damage done to certain components of the limbic system, that's when we experience things like amnesia and memory loss. Jumping back to motivation and how it works in your brain, when your amygdala becomes stimulated, dopamine is what transmits it around the brain. Dopamine is a chemical neurotransmitter that plays a massive role in why we feel motivated. You see, not everyone has the same dopamine levels. People with lower dopamine levels would be experiencing things like ADHD, which is an attention deficit disorder, which makes it a little bit harder to become motivated. Having a higher dopamine level would mean that you would experience things like anxiety and stress. If you're wondering whether if everyone's born, they're able to motivate themselves, the answer to that would be yes. When you're born, you can very well motivate yourself. Although when it comes to a motivated or a not so motivated individual, it usually has to do with their upbringing and kind of just their own self and their own morals. Yes, someone may have higher or lower dopamine levels than somebody else, or you could have something in your brain and an affected amygdala. But in the end, it's kind of just all up to you. Yeah, so that's about everything that I got to research when I had a look at why us humans are motivated. And you know what? I'm glad I was motivated enough to do it. Oh, toodaloo!